I don't want to say AI. I mean, AI is a big part. Who knows what will happen and when, but it is accelerating. Amazon is definitely pushing for AI. What that translates down to us is we are definitely doing our research and trying to understand what's going on, what's available, understand what vendors are using right now. That's something that we ask whenever we talk to a new vendor. We ask them, like, how do you incorporate AI, like just to get an understanding of what's happening. And in general, it seems like it's something that's become part of many processes, but it's not replaced a process yet, because I think many are trying to be quite cautious and not build on something that is not going to be sustainable for a long time, which I think is very reasonable. And I have to say, from our side, we're not pushing anyone to use AI. It's just more of a fact-finding mission.
Welcome to the VFX Artists Podcast. I'm your host, Arpita, and a warm welcome to our guest today, Desiree Ryden. Desiree is a VFX executive at Amazon MGM Studios, where she oversees all VFX for German and Nordic productions. Prior to that, she was an effects artist, starting off at MPC, ILM, Cinesite, and then back at MPC, where she contributed to the Oscar-winning Jungle Book and then rejoined ILM to tick the Star Wars box, Rogue One. 2018 is when she made the career shift to the production side, starting off as a production coordinator and climbing all the way until where she is today, which is an executive at one of the industry's leading studios. Originally hailing from Sweden, Desiree is also a horror enthusiast, mother of two, and currently embracing the challenge of learning French.
Oui.
Welcome.
Merci.
Welcome.
Thank
So,
you.
Desiree, that
Thank
seems
you.
like quite a journey. Are you from a big town in Sweden? Where are you from?
No, I grew up in a very small countryside town, outside the town, in a little village. But being there, I just watched TV and movies all the time on repeat. I recorded it. I had a video library. So I don't know, from a very young age, I'm like, I'm gonna work in TV and movies. Like that's it. So I think, yeah, it kind of tracks, even though I didn't think it would take this route to get here. But yeah.
Yeah, nice. And usually kids growing up have crazy goals and visions. So it's nice to hear that you're one of those kids who knew what they wanted to do right from when they were young.
Well, I did want to be the director though, which
Oh,
was very ambitious, yes. And then when you start to understand a bit more about filmmaking, like, I'm not a person who could be a director for sure. And then I mean, I went to, I studied film, kind of very general film studies. And then I moved to London because I wanted to learn the language. I wanted to be fluent in English. And I moved here without a plan, but I had a friend who kind of helped me out and helped me get a job at a notary firm, which
wow.
was so incredibly boring. It was like soul sucking. So I realized, no, I can't do this. I have to find something I want to do. And at that point, I realized I can't just spend 5 years just studying something. I have to do something where I can get a job at the end of it, and it doesn't take too long.
Mm.
So I started looking into, like, okay, what can I do in film and TV? And I was like, oh, VFX. And yeah, I stumbled upon this education in Sweden that was like 2 years, and you come out with a show reel. And I'm like,
Oh,
okay, well, let's try that. And I got started, and I don't know, for some reason, I thought the FX was really cool. I don't know if it was the right move. It was very specific. Everyone was very surprised, but I thought, now this is just so cool. I can just create anything, and it's like simulated. It has a life. And yeah, and I got into that. I moved back to London. I had to do some other jobs because it wasn't easy to just get into the industry. But then I did get into MPC, where I met you, Arpita, which was it was back in the good days, I think. Yeah. I think we were 60 people in the effects department,
yeah,
right?
yeah, back then.
It was a big group. It was good.
And you made the switch as well from the artist side to production side. Just curious to know what led to that, and yeah, how did you
Uh,
find that transition?
I don't know, too many crash simulations, too many, too many things that didn't work for no reason. And after 7 years of that, and also, I mean, when we're at MPC, I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed working with Flowline, the tool we had. And then Houdini was definitely the thing that was happening. So when I moved to ILM, I was also learning Houdini at the time, which was it was a great experience, and Houdini is an amazing tool, but it is a very steep learning curve. Fortunately, I had really good people around me, like Pete Kime was the lead, so he was really helpful getting me across the line. But yeah, no, you have to have such a passion for VFX to be an artist, I think,
Yeah.
especially at that level. And I felt like this is not where I want to retire. I think I have other things to give. So
Nice.
I just wanted to cast the net really wide, and I thought I'm gonna go into marketing.
Nice.
Which was just like a crazy idea. I started studying online, which was very interesting, but then I realized no, it's just not going to work. So I thought I'll just go over to the dark side and go to production and see how that goes. And I was at ILM at the time, and I considered moving over there, but then I don't know, going over it in my mind, having some other options. I decided to go with a company called Goodbye Kansas, which
They're
is a
from
smaller company.
Sweden. Are
They
they
are
from
from
Sweden?
Sweden.
Yeah.
I did not know about them at the time,
Oh,
being Swedish though, and it was the London office that I joined. But it's a smaller company. But the good thing with joining production in a small company is that I got to be a part of everything. Like I worked in every department as a coordinator. I got to learn about match move, like all those things that you wouldn't really necessarily try to like get into too much in effects. And yeah, so kind of started from the ground up and learning a bit of everything, and I really enjoyed it. Like it really worked well with my skill set and type of person I was, and also having been an artist,
yeah.
it was just so easy to understand what the artists were talking about, right? When they said like, "Oh, I have an issue," or "This is not going to deliver," and then like, "Okay, I see, I see exactly what's going on. We'll figure it out." So I think that it built a lot of trust with the artist I was working with, and no, it was really enjoyable.
Nice. And now, as in the role that you perform today, what does a typical day look like?
Oh, that's a tricky thing. Every day feels so different, which I really love. Every part of the project life cycle can be so different because we're really from the very beginning to the very end.
Hmm.
And that's part of why I love my job, because like I wanted to get into the industry because I loved film and television. And now I get to read scripts, which is like it's the beginning of an idea. It's like the exciting part. Like this could be something amazing. So I get to be there. I read the scripts, and I kind of look at it from the VFX point of view. So thinking about shooting methodology, budgets, giving my thoughts alongside my colleagues, so like production, post, music, everyone, and then we all get together, we discuss it, we decide does it go ahead or does it not go ahead. Leadership gets involved, and um, and then throughout the project, it's my job to kind of make sure that it delivers on quality, it delivers on time, and to budget. That's what I do here. Then that
Hmm.
can look so different from project to project, depending on not so much the size of it. A smaller project can be more time consuming than a bigger project,
Hmm.
but yeah, no, that's kind of it. And then another big part is like the creative reviews. So when we get to the VFX part of it, I have to make sure that our creative executive is happy with the VFX.
Hmm.
And understandably, they might not have a lot of VFX knowledge, so it's up to me to kind of translate their thoughts into productive feedback. Make sure if possible, I can get every voice in the room at the same time. So our creative, and the director, DOP if needed, editor, producers, anyone who needs to have a say, just to make sure they're all in the room at the same time, discussing everything. We come to a very specific feedback resolution for the vendor.
Hmm.
Because having been on that side of it, you don't want to have like 3 rounds of feedback and then the studio comes in at the last time, like, oh, actually, can we just change that thing?
I think I've seen that a little too often.
I know. I'm
Yeah.
trying to fight it. Don't worry.
Yeah.
Job can be very different. And there's a lot of internal, projects and mechanisms that we deal with, trying to make the whole process much smoother for everyone, whether we work
Hmm.
with. So no, it's very varied, which is very exciting.
That sounds like that does sound like a really wide net and a huge remit as well, and also quite satisfying because your day won't look the same every day. You've got
Yes.
there'll be some new challenge or the other coming at you.
Yeah, no, exactly. And the thing I miss though, I think the most is that I don't feel the same kind of ownership of a
Mm,
project that like, yes, I worked on that, I made it happen.
mm.
It's more like I helped it happen, but I don't feel like I have that direct
I mean, but I
impact.
feel like you being in this position that you just mentioned everything that you do have the you can help steer the project gently in one way or the other at every step of the process, which can make a big impact on a vendor on who spent a lot of time working on something or a studio, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, no, it's true. It's like behind the scenes, I work my magic.
Because there's also quite a few stakeholders that you just mentioned. What was the dynamics like? What goes on behind when you see the work from the studio? And is there a chain of order in which somebody has more of a say or somebody has less of the say? And it seems like you're sort of the moderator who kind of presents a unified idea to the vendor.
Uh, yeah, so yeah, exactly. So when it comes to the effects, yes, that would kind of be on me. But I need to take into account all the other voices. So creative have their creative say, of course.
Mm,
Production is the one who's kind of dealing with the shooting and the budget, and I need to make sure that everything works with that. And post production, it's all about the schedule at that point, right? So getting everyone to kind of agree on the plan from a VFX point of view, and then making sure that the vendor is happy with it and they can do it. And if there are any problems, we figure out the solutions together.
mm,
Which could be like, oh, if there's two, like all of a sudden the shop count went up double. What do we do? Like, okay, we have a very good vendor we worked with before. It's not going to affect the budget too much. Let's bring that in. Let's see how it fits. So yeah, it needs to be have many creative solutions. I think every project has its own unique problem so far for
mm.
me. Having been in the industry for 3 years now, I think there's still always something new that comes up because there's always a new variable in every
Yeah.
project. But that's what makes it interesting as well.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, nowadays we can see budgets are getting skinnier and the work isn't getting any easier. So,
Mm.
what goes on behind the scenes when deciding, like, do you actually raise a flag when saying, no, this budget actually looks too low? When you send a breakdown out to a vendor. So, just to get the semantics right, in this
Oh
conversation, we're
yeah.
going to talk about studio, which is the houses, and we're talking about vendors as the VFX studios, right?
Yeah,
So,
exactly,
yeah.
exactly. So
So,
I'm studio and I'm talking to vendors. Sorry, yeah, we should
yes.
have clarified that.
Cool. So, with when a vendor gets a breakdown and we're like, clearly this is not going to fit in the budget. So, is there some
Mm.
level of like sanity checking that happens before it goes out? And like, yeah, have you ever sent out a bid thinking, no way this is going to happen, but let's just give this a go?
Well, no, we haven't really got to that point because it's such a long process, right? So even before the project is greenlit, which means like, okay, it's officially going ahead, we need to make sure that what we want to do with VFX fits with the budget because
Mm,
I mean, there's always a bit of room, but ideally not. So if we have a very complex type of work or something that we can't really estimate too easily, we would try to bid it out before going to green lights
mm,
and not giving a number, just say like, what, how much do you think it would cost and how long do you think it takes? And then that will be kind of the ground that we work from. We send out to three separate vendors,
mm,
and usually between those three, we get an idea, a realistic idea of what it would take. And then when we do get to the point of actually giving the workouts, then
mm.
hopefully it shouldn't be too much of a difference.
Yeah.
Apart from the fact that usually when we shoot and then when we're done, the shot count always goes up. I mean,
Yeah.
almost always.
Yeah.
And like, we don't have more time or more money. Okay, what do we do? But yeah, again, it's very interesting challenge.
Do you see like practices changing nowadays? Like, is there some way that the studios are getting together and seeing, right, like how can we calibrate this a bit? How can we put like vendors under lesser duress? Because there is like we need to join hands rather than colliding. We need to actually be joining hands to try and see how we can improve the state of the industry. So I just want to hear from your side, do you hear of any practices or any things that are happening?
I can't say anything from other studios.
Mm,
There is not a lot of kind of official communications happening between studios, as far as I know. I'm
mm,
not part of those conversations, at least.
mm,
Um, and also, many studios work so differently.
right.
So, but I think from our point of view, everyone I work with in our VFX department, everyone has some kind of background with
Mm,
vendors. So everyone is very protective of vendors, and we see that we need to kind of be the barrier between anyone else and the vendors to make sure that they don't get too much, like you said, too much pressure or um, unrealistic circumstances that they work with, and that we don't lowball too much on the budgets, like all those things.
yeah.
But that's not so much of a specific workflow, more than it's just how we want to work.
Mm. And when you have your breakdown ready and you know, okay, there's a green light here, what is your process of looking to which vendor to partner with, and what are the green flags and what are the red flags? So, could you walk me through your process?
So, I mean, like you said, budgets are getting a bit slimmer nowadays. And the projects that I work on, it's a bit of a mix. In the
Mm,
Nordics, Germany. Germany has quite a lot of success with some of their the Amazon shows so far, so they have healthier budgets, maybe
mm,
in general. Um, but a lot of the cases, they are looking for savings everywhere. And right now, there are so many good tax breaks around Europe. So one part could be that we are looking to go outside, to go to, I mean, for example, Lithuania has a 30% tax break. So all of a sudden you can engage with a vendor there that has the same quality as in Germany, but you get 30% less. Not that they get 30% less, but we get money back.
mm,
So that is one part, but that's not something really that a vendor can affect too much where they're located.
yeah.
Um, when it comes to red flags and green flags, if we have a good working relationship with the vendor, we definitely go back to them, I have to say. And a lot of that comes down to communication. I think communication is the most important for the bad stuff as well as the good. Um,
Mm,
if if a project is not going to plan, if the schedule is getting pushed, if there's not enough money to get anything done, we need to have an open conversation about it, and because otherwise it will be very difficult to solve it, and it will just kind of roll to the end, and then it will be a bigger problem. So I think that's kind of the most critical thing. Um, I would have to say, like so many vendors that I've talked to and that I worked with, quality is usually never an issue. It all comes down to the circumstances that they work, right?
that's really
And for
interesting.
us, having had that experience, we know that's true. Like we can do an amazing job if we had all the resources. So it's just a matter of making sure that you put them in that position. Um, I think, I mean, as a vendor, just, reach out. I get so many cold calls, emails, and if it's something that could be relevant, I like to have a call, an intro call, 30 minutes, like, okay, who are you? Do you want to show what you're doing? What's your vision? Where do you want to get to? What kind of work do you do? And, we had many successful vendors in that way. So I'd say, try to find a connection, reach out, and you do a call. Worst case scenario, we put them on our vendor database, which we share globally, and then maybe not much come from it directly, but it's at least the first step.
And are there times when you've shortlisted a vendor, maybe it doesn't work out for, the Germany Nordic sector because of
Mm,
whatever reason, and do they get handed over then to the other regions perhaps to get, because a good vendor is a good vendor, and I'm
yeah.
sure like a studio would love to take a chance on them if, despite the tax breaks not matching, right?
Yes. No, definitely. We do share a lot of vendors. We have a German production now that is currently bidding in Spain and France,
Mm,
Lithuania, Germany, just because we do have that network of vendors that we
mm.
know are good. And it doesn't really matter where they're based, right? As long as it's the right people.
Yeah, that's true. I've noticed that a lot, and you're finding that a lot of, because right now there are like 4 or 5 big players maybe like, yeah, four big players, and then you have a few mid-sized studios, and then there are a whole lot of small studios that have popped up. So in terms of your preference to work with the big studios versus mid-sized and small studios, and also sometimes just directly connecting with freelancers, because I've also seen that happen quite often. Is there any kind of like, what is the barometer for like seeing what scale you want to go with?
Oh, it's difficult to say. It really depends on the project and the budget.
Mm,
So personally, I don't deal too much with the very big vendors. Like, for
mm,
example, I don't have the money for DNEG. That's
mm,
more the US shows. And I mean, yeah, I don't know. I think it really depends. And also, it's not us directly hiring a vendor. So the way
mm,
we work is that we work with a production company. So we own the project, we manage it, but the production company is the one who carries it out, and they are the ones who decide on the vendors. So what we do
mm.
from our side is, if they might want to have people they already worked with, and then we would just check them out. If we haven't worked with them before, we just check, okay, yeah, they seem good. We put them through a security process, and then we're good to go. But sometimes they're not really sure what they want, so we would maybe give them a list of 3 to 4 vendors, like, okay, these seem to be kind of within the range of your project when it comes to time and money, and that's kind of where it would go.
Right. So just for the sake of our listeners who may not be who is the, so it's the vendors, it's you representing Amazon Studios, and who is the third party here?
So yeah, so it's a production company.
Mm,
So usually it would be, I think most of the time, a production company, they have a script, or they have a talent, or they have an IP, and they want to make it, but they need money. So they come to Amazon and say, like, look, we have this, we think it would be really interesting, but we want you to make it. We will make it, but we need money, and um, you know, this kind of the creative and the leadership. So they would give us the creative material, and then our creatives would look through it. They would give notes. They would work together with the production company, and kind of together come to, like, okay, what is it finally going to look like? And then the same would be with production. Our production executive would work with their producers, like, okay, are we good with the budget? Is the timing working out? And then post and me VFX, I would talk to, well, usually on my kind of projects, they don't really have a dedicated VFX person.
mm,
So I would talk to the line producer, the producer, a bit of, everyone. And and then it would be kind of a collaboration. I think, I mean, technically it would be an Amazon owned project, but we don't want to go in and just dictate, because that would
mm,
not lead to a good project, right? Everyone has a voice, so it's more of like, how do we make this happen together? So
mm,
so that's kind of the role. So the studio has kind of that oversight, but the production company is carrying it out.
mm. So the production company, is it
So
always
so
Amazon?
No, so we are the studio, and the production company can be anyone. Like, um, we worked. I just know the names of a few German ones now too, that comes to mind. But no, there are so many production companies that we work with of varying sizes,
Mm,
and yeah, they're the ones who will kind of reach out to the vendors and kind of set everything up, while
right.
we are overseeing that. Like, okay, you got a vendor on board. Okay, great. Is that vendor okay? Security approved. Okay, great. So it's a lot about ticking boxes sometimes.
Mm,
If they know what they're doing and they're very comfortable with the VFX, then I don't have to do much more than at the end, when I need to make sure our creative is happy with what they're seeing, the
yeah.
quality's there, and deal with any issues. But up until that point, that can be very hands off.
Just going back a couple of years, and also it's like, I think this topic never kind of gets boring for anyone, but the strikes that happened 2 years ago, being part of the studio, you're on the other side of the fence, and you were watching all the events unfold, for the vendors. Yeah, what was going through your mind and like everyone's mind on the other side of the fence? I'm just curious to know.
Mm. I mean, first of all, I was on maternity leave at the time, so I didn't get all the inside chats,
Mm,
unfortunately. But of course, coming from vendor side, artist side, I knew it was very difficult and that it would take a very long time. I mean, we still feel it still
mm,
now after everything. Um, I mean, the official studio stance, I mean, I know as much as anyone. I don't have any kind of inside information. I don't think anyone was asked to be part of that conversation. It seemed very kind of business focused.
mm,
But from our point of view in the VFX department, it was very difficult because we have so many vendors reach out to us and just say like, we'll take anything basically because we want to keep our people. And not having anything to give them and not being able to make any promises because we didn't really know what was happening.
mm.
It was a very difficult time, definitely. Um, yeah.
So just going back even further, when COVID happened,
Mm,
just before COVID happened, nobody even thought of working remotely. That was not even a thing in the industry.
yeah.
And then COVID happened, and now it's sort of like the norm. And I think when the strikes happened, that was another big shift in the industry as to how vendors need to constantly watch their back. And this whole concept of before you had a company, you had a strong core team, you had a big team, and everyone was on permanent contracts, and you would just feel like you belonged somewhere. This whole
Mm,
company jumping wasn't a trend. And I feel like since 2023, 2024, everyone's just like in such a state of worry, like, okay, well, I have this role now, is it going to exist tomorrow, is this company going to exist tomorrow even? So
yeah.
I'm just and that has become a status quo in the industry, and it's really sad to see. I'm just wondering, from your viewpoint, from your perch, like, where do you see the industry going? And
Mm.
do you see anything else shifting in the coming years, especially considering the deals have been signed for 3 years and there could be something else happening pretty soon? So yeah, just wanted to hear your thoughts as well.
Mm. Um, I think from what I see right now in the industry, I think a lot of vendors are shifting. Like you said, it's not the same type of workplace anymore. A lot of vendors
Mm,
are focusing on being very agile, and I think part of that is not having this huge, massive office, right? Because right now that's not a good thing. You can work from home, and that's easier if you need to scale up or scale down, and um, and also not having many more artists are generalists nowadays, I think. And
yeah.
I think that's part of that agility to be able to shift people around easier. And you hire someone for a job, but then maybe things change quickly. So having a generalist might be more of an asset. So that's one part of it. Where things are going in the future, I don't want to say AI, but I mean AI is a big part. Who knows what will happen and when? But it is accelerating. Amazon is definitely pushing for AI. What that translates down to us is we are definitely doing our research and trying to understand what's going on, what's available, understand what vendors are using right now. That's something that we ask whenever we talk to a new vendor. We ask them like, how do you incorporate AI? Like just to get an understanding of what's happening. And in general, it seems like it's something that's become part of many processes, but it's not replaced a process yet. Because I think
Mm,
many are trying to be quite cautious and not build on something that is not going to be sustainable for a long time, which I think is very reasonable. And I have to say, from our side, we're not pushing anyone to use AI. It's just more of a fact-finding mission at the time at this
I
point.
mean, yeah, because if the budgets are actually getting skinnier, like we spoke about a couple of times, then if AI is that one deciding factor that kind of saves time, so do you feel like a studio is actually better off incorporating that in order to match this? Because two other studios that use AI and are able to do the work in, like, say 70% of the time
Mm,
versus somebody who is equally hardworking, equally earnest, but offers, high numbers, obviously you're going to go with the other two, right?
Uh, if those are the only differing variables, then of
Mm,
course we're looking to, if we have a budget that we need to take down,
mm,
then we would need to go with a cheaper option.
yeah,
But if we feel like the more expensive approach is more reliable, that
yeah,
has a lot of value as well.
that's true.
Because
Yeah.
I think, especially with the AI, because it's so new, if someone comes to us and they're like, look, we can do this job for 30% of the money, we're using this new groundbreaking technology, I think we would be quite wary and really try to understand, how is this built up? Is it going
Mm,
to deliver? Have you used this before? And that, and because it's easy to get swept up with all the
yeah.
promises.
And there's also not much of it's quite unregulated and loose right now as well, right? So from a
Mm,
security viewpoint as well, when doing your due diligence, you want to make sure that this tool that they're using,
yes,
the data that they're using is all like fits within the
100%.
remit.
Yes, no, we've had several projects show us super promising things, but then it just gets stuck on the legal side. Like, no, you can't use
Mm,
that footage, or that tool has not been approved. But that's a discussion that is coming up more and more now, and we have like a dedicated legal person who's looking into all those things for us and making a list of all the tools that are approved, so we can check before engaging a vendor, like which tool are you using for this and that. It's just, yeah, it's a huge topic for sure.
yeah. It is. And I've also felt like studios are better off, adopting it and trying to see how they can fit it in rather than lose out on opportunities because you haven't even explored it. And I don't think this is going to replace anyone because at the end of the day, the human eye is what kind of knows what looks right, what doesn't, and what behaves well.
Mm,
And we're also like the human eye is also so sensitive to quirks, and quirks is one
hmm.
of the things that AI just loses with because that
Yeah, definitely.
so I do think, but I've personally seen it add so much value to save. It's sort of like instead of just mopping the floor, you have something that does it for you, so you can spend your time
Hmm.
doing something else, which is more interesting. So I see how it can add value to people's lives, but yeah, to how far you take it is, I think, subject to the task at hand and like how reliable it is and how consistent it is and how much control
Mm,
it can give the artist and a supervisor, because that's something that people always worry about AI is like how much control, and control is something that
yeah.
everybody wants in when doing this. So pivoting slightly to the people and personal side of things, because that's something I really enjoy talking about as well. Being a working mom in the industry,
Mm.
like how have you felt your journey been after becoming a mom?
Well, it's so different from those before me because I had my first child. It was just after COVID. So working from home was, when I came back from maternity leave, that was a norm, which
I know.
I don't understand how people did it before that. Like, it really, I don't know. I'm baffled because it might not be very time consuming, but just having that flexibility of being in certain places at certain times, right? Um, I think I always had really good flexibility from the places I worked with. So at the time, I mean, it's, from the studio's point of view, the whole process was quite simple. I think when it comes to those things, they have it very well set up because it's something that is a recurring thing, right?
Mm,
I had very good support from my team and my colleagues. So I was in a very fortunate position, really, with the whole that side of things. And then, I mean, coming back to work, I can work from home. I work from home 3 days a week, technically, but I actually prefer to go into work nowadays because I can just focus better. But my hours are very flexible as well. Like, I can start at 7 a.m. and finish at 9 p.m. But that allows me time to like spend time with my family during breakfast, or after like nursery pickup, doing making dinner and all those things. So far it's been working out really well. My oldest is going to start school in September, so it's a whole thing of homework and picking up at 4
uh,
p.m. So let's see. But no, so
So I,
far it's been very good.
yeah, that's good to hear. Many women tend to hesitate taking that step because of how they feel it will impact their career, their progress, because it's
Mm.
a year away, and how much changes in 1 year in this industry is crazy. So,
Oh
and
my God. Yeah.
yeah, so what is your advice for somebody who's looking to start a family?
My God, that's a big question. I mean, I would say, but then again, I had such a good experience, so maybe I'm not the best person to ask, but I would say priority is your family. I don't think priority really should be your work unless you really love your job and you're super invested in it, but that's another question. But I mean, I always prioritize my family. I am very ambitious and hardworking, but when it comes to it, my family is priority, and I think that's what you need to look at. Like my job can change, but family is always there. So my advice would try to make it work. But like I said, I'm in a fortunate position to have made it work so far. You really get tested. Like
Yeah.
you're standing in the kitchen, you have one baby crying, you have the other boys screaming for watching something, and then it's just complete chaos, and you just have to find the space to be like, okay, now I need to do this and I need to do that. And if you can do that, you can do anything. Like going to
Yeah.
work, that's my time off almost,
Yeah.
because you do get a sense of, and also you get a sense of priority. Like I think I still find my job really important, but
Mm.
in relation to the family side of things, you do get perspective, so it doesn't get to you in the same way. It doesn't stress me like it used to stress me, because I have a bit more emotional distance to it, which I think is healthy.
Perspective, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And from people point of view as well, are there, because you just mentioned how many different circumstances and scenarios you deal with on a daily basis. What is that one kind of soft skill? Because I feel in this industry, people focus too much on hard skills and technical
Mm.
skills and or subject matter expertise. But what is that, a key soft skill or a lesson that you've learned, which you find helps you repeatedly in many, many situations?
Oh, that's a good question. Um, I'm not sure. I mean, learning how to interact with people, I think, is just really important, because I interact with so many different types of people now. Being in just purely VFX, working with VFX artists or producers, it's a bit of a bubble,
Mm,
and I think it's a very good. It's like coming out and being on this level. You talk to people in so many different levels and different areas, that need to be a bit of a chameleon maybe, and and listen a lot, and try to adjust. And I think that skill is something I'm still working on, but it's very valuable. And I would say, if you are in VFX and you're looking to move somewhere else, I think the key is like try to break out of the bubble.
yeah. Yeah. I feel sometimes we're so absorbed in our own little, like, oh, this is my task, this is my shot, this is my sequence. And you just, even just, even just thinking, big picture, zooming out a bit helps so
Mm,
much. And yeah, and so true.
definitely.
And we're all humans. We're not islands at the end of the day. So taking that time to build your communication skills, like understanding the other person, what they want,
Yeah.
what they actually want, when they're asking you something, rather what you think they want, and delivering
Yes.
that. So yeah,
Yeah, and
it's
and I would tell to anyone who likes to work from home that, like, don't work from home too much, because like that face-to-face time it's really important.
yeah. I mean, I've I've been in this position before where we've, as a VFX
Mm,
studio, we're always at this crossroads, like, oh, we want to build a culture, so we want people to come in, but you also want to acknowledge that people have moved outside of London,
yes.
outside England, some living in
Yeah.
Scotland and in Ireland, because just for this proper like work life balance. And I actually personally have noticed some of them being even more productive than those who are actually in the office, but it is important. And I think this remote working also works to an extent because people had that connection before COVID.
Yes,
Um,
exactly. We're lucky because we already
yeah,
established everything. Coming in as a junior now, you're relying on some people. Like I
yeah,
definitely agree with the work-life balance and like having
yeah.
time from home, like at home. But but yeah, having that face-to-face time,
It
yeah,
it
it's very
really does.
different for people nowadays.
No, it's absolutely, and I do feel for people entering the industry. They don't have those seniors around them for the peer
Mm,
learning experience that you and I had when we
yeah,
started off as juniors. And it does kind of help with those are also what give you the memories, right? Because otherwise you're kind of
yeah,
slaving away on your own at your monitor at your desk, and just
exactly.
everything is seen through this like screen, and that kind of energy exchange is missing out. But it's nice to see that people are taking the effort to come in, like be it once a month or once in two
Mm,
months, to just regroup and then again part ways.
yes.
But that's great. It's been a really, really great conversation with you, Desiree. Before you go off, I want to ask you as well, like, this is the VFX Artist Podcast, and we want whoever is listening to go away with something new as well. So any book or any film, podcast, or something that you've come across recently that has made a good impression on you, which any artist who's listening can take away and, use.
Well, I mean, I knew this was going to come up, so I was thinking and thinking, and like full transparency, I did not know what to say. So
Okay.
yesterday, I watched the first episode of The Studio, thinking that I've heard so many things about it. It's the Apple show, and
All
everyone
right.
says it's so accurate. And I have to
Is
say,
it? I need
it
to
is
look it
quite
up.
accurate. Yes, and it's really well made. I would recommend it. It's not artist made, not relate to it at all, but working at a studio, I I mean it's very over the top, very extreme. It's like a parody, but I can see a lot of things actually happening in real life, and yeah.
Really?
It's not great, but
Okay.
it's very entertaining.
Okay. Is it funny?
It is funny, yes, but
Okay,
it's pretty
cool.
sad at the same time because you see
Okay.
where the film and TV industry is kind of,
Yeah. Okay,
the
fine.
state of things. But yeah.
You said you like horror, so I'll want to brace myself.
It's not horror at all, don't worry.
Cool, cool. All right. Great, Desiree. This was such an informative and eye-opening session for me. I learned a lot myself, and I
Oh,
hope
thank you.
whoever is listening also. Where can our listeners find you if they wanted to connect with you?
I think LinkedIn is the easiest, isn't it? I think that would be the
Yep.
best. Shoot me up.
Cool. Okay, great, great. I will
Nice.
link your profile in the show notes. And
Perfect.
thank you so much, and have a lovely day and weekend.
Great. Thank you
All
very
right.
much. And you, Arpita. Nice speaking
Bye.
to you. Bye.